before you're aware of it. It's just,
Okay.
anyway.
We're good.
Okay. Let's see. Call this meeting to order, Tuesday, February 18th. Roll call, please.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
Troy Boone.
Here.
Steve Kane.
Here.
Gerald Green.
Here.
Troy Doden.
Here.
Art Schott.
Yes.
Teresa Sway.
Here.
Agenda was sent out Friday. There's one change. I'd like to table the meter reading wage under new business. Are there any other changes or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Deleting jobs for the amended agenda. Do it in seconds.
Motion by Delaney, seconded to adopt the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Minutes were also sent out for the third meeting. Are there any adjustments or changes to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the February 3rd minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second. Motion by Boone and seconded to approve February 3rd minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. No visitors to be heard or mayor or committee reports. Department head report, Jerry Zions.
Okay. Some of you guys, I sent a message about what we're looking at purchasing there for a city travel vehicle. Just put a little information there together. This one's out of Jerry Chevrolet here in town. It's a 2019 all-wheel drive Chevrolet Premier, which is a little bit of a step up from the LS LT and the LT2 versions. But that's what he had. He had about 3 or 4 of them left, so that's what we took a look at. We got 14,500 miles roughly. Gets about 28, 29 going down the highway, a little less than that in town. But it's got room for 4, plenty of room in back for additional luggage, whatever it might be. Seemed like it fit very well for what we're looking at. Elaine and I went out and we test drove it, and everything seems to work good. It does have warranty for another 2 years on pretty much on everything and anything. It would have the 5-year, $60,000 powertrain, which would be engine and transmission warranty also. So we would like to move forward with purchasing that. Elaine's done a little work on that, and I think, Elaine, we're going to try to do that just under a city council item. Just put the whole vehicle under city council, and we'd have to take the funds out of contingency because we do not have anywhere else at this point in time that we can take them from. So that's what we would just run through the city council budget from this point forward. We're working on the details as far as checking it out and all those kind of things. But I think it might be easier just to track it that way than trying to track each and every, yeah, it'd be a nightmare. I don't really tend to use it myself on a day-to-day basis. I think we're going to use it primarily for travel. Jeff and I were talking today. We came in and we took a look at the back where we probably park would be back here. And we need to do some dirt work behind this office. Keep the water from going into the basement over here at City Hall and also this basement. And I think the building next to us gets water in their basement too, because everything kind of drains back to the building and not away. So we need to do some work back there. Jeff could do the dirt work back there, probably put some gravel down and eventually some asphalt to try to get that water to run out of here. So what do you think, asphalt, $1,300, $1,400?
Yeah, about $1,400 to do that.
We could take care of that area back there and create a lot, solve some problems there also. So, and we just keep it back here. We keep a log, people will check it out. For instance, if we had it this weekend, we'd be taking it to Pier on, I think, Thursday. Mike's going out there to help work on this house bill that we're going to talk about a little later. We can use it there. I know we've got Michael Shirk heading out to Deadwood, so I think right there in itself, with the mileage we get, be a good purchase. So if you guys are okay with that, I don't think we need to have a specific motion, but that's what we'll do. But we would have to do some transferring from the contingency fund to the city council. And Elaine's put some new council or some new numbers together that we'd be able to use so we could track all of the expenses real closely. Keep you guys up to date on how it works for us. So,
Elaine, have we talked with Terry Post or anybody just to see what other cities do that have a general city car? I know we haven't. The more I think about it, I don't know that city council is the proper fit. I almost feel like the government buildings where we have the assets held might might be a better fit. I mean, we can always transfer from contingency to that, but I would maybe check with them to see if she could just give you a quick answer on what other cities do that have a general vehicle and where it would fit best.
Teresa, would you be opposed to them using the council contingency, but yet transferring to government buildings?
Yeah, that would be fine. I just want to make sure that when we post the purchase of that we put it under the proper department or fund that we have.
I don't think we don't really care where we track it, and if that makes more sense to you, Teresa. We talked about that too, Lynn and I did.
Because government buildings doesn't have you, right? You have your own budget.
No.
And I have my own.
And you have your own.
The government buildings is pretty much the utilities for this building and that building
And the repairs.
to pay for the cleaning person. It's real small.
I just think something that maybe is just holding assets, especially since it's going to be used by the city as a whole, and these buildings are used as a whole, so.
Well, I think if that's the case, I think she can just change the first couple code numbers there that you have, and that would
I'd
be
have to create codes for the government building for the
before you can pay that.
machinery auto. And
Sorry.
then, do you want all services and fuel to come out of the same fund, or would you? Because we
Elaine and
spoke.
I briefly talked about that, like, I feel like if, say, telephone department's gonna use it, when they bring it back, you fill it up. That way that department is being charged for that trip. And anytime somebody else checks out the vehicle, it's got a full tank of gas and they don't have to worry about it. I don't care if you even use an eighth of a tank of gas, fill it up, that way your department is being charged. Now, as far as the maintenance on it, you know, if it's the electric department, for whatever reason, has to go down the gravel road and it gets really dirty and they need to wash it, they need to pay for that. But as far as oil changes and stuff, maybe that's just a general service on the vehicle.
Would we have a card available to like put in like a binder, fleet card, so to speak, so that when somebody does travel, they can use that to purchase gas?
So all of the department's heads have credit cards
Okay.
that they could use to purchase gas. It would just be if it's not a department head person that takes the vehicle, we'd have to make arrangements if they would need fuel. If their trip takes them a ways out, that they would need a full tank. But the vehicle probably holds 15, 16 gallons or more. So you would think that wherever they're going, they should be able to get there and back in one tank. Because we have our account at Total Stop.
Just from thinking about it, I mean, there's probably not gonna be many times where it's somebody that's not a department head that's gonna drive it hundreds of miles.
Right.
I think it'd be maybe once or twice, at most a year. You probably handle those when they come up, couldn't you?
Well, I would think, I know you, but could they not just take their department head's credit card? I mean, at the pump, you aren't signing.
Yeah.
That it could get.
Maybe just think about what's best and going to impose the least burden on
Right.
the employee who travels. Because the other thing is, if they get into a situation where all of a sudden they have a flat tire or some sort of breakdown, you know, it'd be nice to kind of think of some contingency so that they're not having to pay for some sort of towing
Out of their own pocket.
out of their own pocket, whether it's a fleet card or using department head's card or something that makes sense.
We ever used or looked at getting fleet cards for all city vehicles that can be used at all the pumps in town? Like Right Express or whatever.
I think we take bids on
Well,
And those fleet cards are by vehicle, they're assigned to a vehicle. So oil change gets charged to the fleet card, tires gets charged to the fleet card, travel, gas. If you have a breakdown, a tow, and then the fleet, the Right Express, that's what we had with the lumberyard. I get a report every month. It gives me the expenses for that vehicle. And on a much larger corporate scale, you know, when there's 500 lumber yards, nationwide, that they were able to track the expense rate to every vehicle. So here we don't have that many vehicles.
Even like the ambulance, when we go to Total Stop, they have a card there, they run it, and there's different ambulances, so we can track fuel into every ambulance, so we know. Is it just maybe something we need to think about? So
Could be something to incorporate with fire department too. I mean, if they're out of town, that travels with the vehicle, that card's in the vehicle, stays in the vehicle.
How does that?
And you can set it up so they can't buy something in the store with it, gas.
like when I check out a car, you get a binder, has a card, that card is tied to that vehicle.
Yep.
You have to punch in the license plate number and the mileage of the vehicle.
You can
And
put the mileage in,
and you cannot use that card for anything but
Yep.
like certain.
As the administrator of the account, you can toggle on and off what it can use for, what it can't. So they couldn't buy beer or smokes with it or something.
So you'd have like a separate little machine in the vehicle?
No,
No, it's just like a little sleeve, and whenever you get the card, they hand you the binder.
when you're filling up with gas at Casey's or Total Stop or Jet, whatever, look at it, it's gonna say all the cards they accept on the pump. And like Right Express Fleet Card is one, there's a bunch of different fleet cards. But
Or if it's easy enough to just add a credit card to our
right,
account and do the binder that goes with it.
you just don't have as much control over a general Visa or MasterCard as you do a fleet card.
If you're filling up all your pickups, you just go up to Total Stop, right?
They buy the card on file there, that they just swipe to the city.
Well, we just fill out the ticket. I don't, does they send you a bill at the end of the month for all
Yeah.
gas? Yeah.
And you guys have to sign a slip.
Yeah.
We get all those slips
So
back.
somebody there swiping the card, I guess. Probably just like ours, they go through a little Rolodex, they pull it out, they swipe it, but they hold it for us.
Well, we're sending a little sheet of paper, vehicle number, or the license plate, mileage, and what it is. Then you sign your name.
With the fleet cards, when you swipe it at the pump, you have to put in the mileage. So it's
Oh,
tracking what
that's
you're
right.
getting for fuel efficiency and all that kind of stuff.
Is anybody, can you get gas out here at the state shop? I would think that'd be,
You can get gas at the state shop, but you have to have that state key,
the little magnet. in
Yeah.
there, in
in if the shop's unlocked. Cause not always unlocked.
I think it'd be easiest if you had a card that went with the car.
Yeah.
I think we just try to get
And I
it
mean-
through.
Elaine looks at those statements every month when they come in, so if something's not
Fishy.
right. So I would hope our employees are dishonest and still working for us if they're gonna,
Like, we always have to turn it, you get the receipt, you put the receipt
yeah.
in the binder, and you know who checked the car out, you know the date that they had it, and the receipt better match the sale on the card.
Right.
So you can figure out
Mhm.
which department it goes to, if that's what eventually happens, or if it is paid out of one fund. Again, I don't like the idea of like sending somebody out and then they have a $500 breakdown and now they're stuck.
I'd be fine with just another card to stay with the vehicle.
State uses one called Voyager.
Voyager.
Would you, I mean, could we maybe get a hold of Wells Fargo, who we already have a credit card with, and inquire with them?
They might have a fleet card.
Yeah.
I bet they do.
Uh-huh. I'll call them and we'll see what they have to offer. Since we already have an account established with them, and it would probably come with the other statement, so it would just be incorporated with something that's already existing.
So I'm hearing council contingency transfer to government buildings fund, and everyone's on board with, made a motion for that.
We will, if we do the resolution.
At the next meeting?
Yeah. We'll do the resolution to take it out, and all the right codes and stuff that going out by right, put those codes in tomorrow.
Can you purchase the car yet or not?
Yeah, and we can purchase it though, Elaine. Will you both put the right codes in to purchase?
I hope to, tomorrow.
Wells Fargo has a card called commercial card. There's fleet services, but I see that car was on the bills that we had to review, so that,
And that's.
so we don't need a separate motion for that because it's gonna be payable the rest of the bills, so, okay.
Any discussion? House Bill.
House Bill 1262, I'm gonna probably refer that over to Tom. He's been, his guys, a couple of the guys that work with him have been spending a lot of time on that bill. It's kind of moving around a little bit, a little faster here recently again.
Last year during the legislative session, the REAs brought a bill to free service territory, saying the city expands, the city annexes territory. There's no change in the service territory boundaries for the REAs versus the municipals. That was sent to a summer study committee and got nowhere. They didn't come up with any legislation everybody could agree upon. Two weeks ago, I guess, right at the end of the deadline for putting in the bills, Representative Anderson from our district put in a bill that he says is a concept bill. We had a Cracker Barrel here a week ago Saturday and voiced our displeasure with it. He says it's a concept bill that he's just trying to get everybody to the table to come up with an agreement on changing the service territory rules somehow. Although nobody's been able to identify a problem that needs to be fixed, we're out there trying to fix something. So at this point, his bill was scheduled for a hearing tomorrow in committee. That's been postponed at least indefinitely. I sent him an email today, again asking him to pull that bill and not proceed with it, but that's not happening. The MEA and Missouri River have been working hard to try and, for the last year, to try and just come up with a answer to the questions, what problem are we trying to solve? And nobody can give them that answer, but yet we're out there trying to solve it. So if you have time to follow the legislature at all, if you could get a hold of Representative Anderson and Jensen and express to them your concerns for the city of Beresford, which is in his district. I think it does well for us to lean on him a little bit and tell him that this isn't favorable to municipal electrics. The proposal he's got basically would, the process for annexing and establishing a service territory would likely be tied up in court for a year or two before you can get that problem resolved. And I told him it's full-time employment for lawyers. I said, that's a real good bill, and thank you, Representative Anderson. I said, I'll get to know your daughter, who's the judge, real well. But I don't know why he's out there trying to pursue this. I don't think it's in the city's best interests, and we need to let him know that we don't have any problems. We have not had any problems with service territories here. Southeastern and Clay Union are right on our boundaries, and we've not had any issues with them. So there's just a few REAs that are mad up in Brookings and Watertown and Vermillion that are pushing this real hard. But again, they haven't given any definitive reasons as to why the formula that's been in statute for 40 years plus doesn't work.
I read an article today that referred to a contract between the city of Watertown and like the Clark Rural Electric Association or something up there that goes back 45 years, where they actually have a written contract and an agreement on these services around the fringe around the city of Watertown. And so apparently now the Clark and Goddington Electric or whatever, they're trying to break the contract, and that's where all this kind of got rolling. And one thing I talked about in the article that's really important for us, and Beresford's done really well since I've lived here 15 or 16 years of bringing in industry like the hatchery and the other stuff up north. And, you know, if we want to continue to grow are in industrial areas. It talked about if you're landlocked, that you might miss out. Some of these cities, like Beresford, for example, might miss out on that next business or industry coming because they're not going to be able to buy electricity from the city municipal, they'd have to buy it from a rural electric company at a higher rate. And those utility differences could be the difference between landing a business like that or not. And that's what Watertown is battling with up there.
Yeah. And I brought that up to Representative Anderson, and he said, well, it's not just municipal electrics that have industrial development. He said there's other communities that do. I said, but those that have municipal electric, it's an important part of the package that we put together to try and recruit businesses to come and locate here. I said, I don't think Turkey actually would have located here if we didn't have the municipal electric. The last 3 cities they looked at had municipal power. And they liked the idea of going one place to get virtually all their utility services other than natural gas. And that was an attraction to them, and I think helped get them here. So.
And I think looking down the road, as we get more tied up with our industrial development areas and have less and less spots, we're going to need to get out there somewhere, and that's probably going to be in an REA piece of land. So,
and the statutes give them compensation for it. It's not as if they're not compensated for any facilities that are taken, and they get compensated for a percentage of the gross receipts that are received over 7 years now. So there is compensation going to the REAs. It's just been an age-old battle that has reared its ugly head again after being quiet for a number of years. So,
Plus, here in a few minutes, we're going to talk about financing a substation, which is geared towards potential growth. We're going to spend $6 million on a substation. If we can't grow, then what's the justification necessary for expanding our infrastructure and putting that capital investment in our community to grow it?
And we can't recover anything from the REAs to change that. If they freeze the service line and say, well, you can't serve across that road because we're frozen, even if you annex the territory into the city, you can't serve. So if you would or could, certainly let Dave Anderson and Kevin Jensen, our 2 representatives, go on the legislative website. You can pull up their email very easily and send something to them. I think it reinforces, they know where we're coming from, but I think it helps you say as a member of the city council, you're very concerned about it, and it's not in our best interests as municipal electrics. That's a lot of people in their district that are affected by that, so it would be appreciated. I know Mike's going out this week to help work that on behalf of the municipal electrics. So.
Nice segue into a section.
Everyone get one? Okay. Elaine helped me put together, I'll get all these numbers together, but kind of gives you an idea of what we spent since this whole project started back when we entered into the contract with DGR back in August of 2017. So we're at the top of this spreadsheet. It lists all the different vendors that we've worked with on the project to date, between WAPA, DGR, which is our engineer. Banner's been helping us with designing the road. Southeast Electric with some dollars that we ended up paying for relocating some of their lines on our previous route that we had agreed to. Wesco is a place that we've been buying some product to do some of the work ourselves that we have to do. Tom's helped us with a bunch of easements and stuff over the last year, trying to secure easements. I think we've done some stuff for ditch wish and certified testing. We had a test where we're going to put some of these large diameter poles. So if you look at the bottom of that, I've got kind of what we've spent year to date in each of those areas. So we spent 1.359 million year to date, which has all been paid for either with cash on hand or reserved money. So at this point in time, we are down to roughly 200, at the end of December 31st of 2019, we had 86,000 in cash on hand of 184,000 or 270,000. So we didn't feel that we could probably go any further with any of that. We've got a lot of large projects or large bills that will be coming up shortly, items that we've already bid out. So at the bottom of your information there, I kind of put the contract that for WAPA was 1.38 million. We still have to pay them $430,000, which is due by September of 2020. We still have DGR to pay about 291,000 for construction type stuff. Banner's got some to pay for once we start building the road. So we got about 726,000 that we know under contract still to pay. We bid out the east substation road, the road going into the new site. We know what that amount will be, 106,000. The sub-site prep, that we also know that was an alternate with the people that are building the road. That was 103,000 to get the site ready for the new transformer in that site. We bid out the substation transformer, that's 681,000. We've got some switchgear control panels that go in the substation for 339,000. Some other miscellaneous materials that were also bid out. There's 6 items there. That was 596,000. And I'm using DGR's estimates to do the final couple things that we have. We've got substation construction, that's 1.26 million is what they're estimating. Transmission line, which is going to be basically the line coming from the WAPA sub all the way into town, that's 1.664 million. And they've got $520,000 of contingency built in here in case some of these items overrun. So with that being said, we need about just shy of $6 million to finish the project. What we are anticipating doing, I've worked with Doherty and Company, we've used them for years and years and years. They put some numbers together for us based on a $6.1 million construction fund. So in essence, we'd be borrowing $6.706,705,000, which would cover the cost of issuance, putting a bunch of money into a debt service reserve. That's $478,000 we put in reserve. So that 6.705 would actually give us the 6.1, but there's some other things on the third page there. You can kind of read through all of the other costs of issuance and all those things there. So that's what we're looking to purchase or to borrow. There's going to be some resolutions that Doherty will be putting together and available at the next meeting if we're okay to go forward with that. Our interest rate's around 2.58%. If we don't spend the contingency fund or the extra $100,000 that we are borrowing at the 6.1, we get to keep those funds and we can put them, do what we choose to do with them. Obviously, I think we'd probably try to put some more money back into reserves because our reserves funds are so low at this point in time. So that would be the idea there. It appears that we should have enough funding going forward to make the payments on this. Our payments are going to increase from about $179,000 a year today up to about $475,000 on average for the next 20 years. So it gives you an idea kind of where we're going to be that way. At the end of last year, I believe we had about a little over $500,000 extra funds, even after we did all of our transfers. So based on that, we should be in okay shape to make those payments, and we should actually have a little bit left over. Missouri River is doing a study right now, and they'll have that information to us. We've provided all the information here so that they can take a look at our rates and all that kind of thing. They'll probably have some recommendations of how much we want to put into reserves on a regular basis. But anyhow, this I think we feel comfortable now with these numbers going forward. If you're okay with that, we'll continue working with Doherty to put the resolutions together. Once we adopt the resolution, which will give us an amount to borrow, then it takes about 60 days before the funds are actually in place. So we want our funds to be in place by the time we need to start spending some money on the substation road and that construction. So that's kind of where we're at. If we're okay to go forward, it looks like we have the ability to repay it. I think we've got all the costs pretty well nailed down at this point in time. The only two unknowns are those two items that we have to do yet: the substation construction and the transmission line construction. Those are the two last items we have to do. So that gives you an idea. Any questions about any of that? Interest rates are the interest rate that he's used for us is probably a little higher. They actually come down, but he did not want to move that around. The interest rate is set on the date you actually sell the bonds. So this is a little higher than they're selling for right now. So he said, well, let's just keep the interest rate so you have an idea. But those can switch back and forth. I mean, doesn't matter. If it's the day that they're sold, that's what you get. So if they think rates will go down, they'll probably hold them a day or two. But that's kind of how it works. No action needs to be taken. We'll bring the resolution to the next meeting from Doherty and Company, and then once that's adopted, then we can move forward with the rest of the borrowing and all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. Missouri River also offers strategic planning services. I think some of you guys had some questions about it. I wasn't able to make the meeting when you talked about it last time, but I provided some information from Marcy Douglas. You probably had a chance to read through it. I did talk to her for a while today, and I said, I don't think we're going to be interested in doing anything until after the election. We've got a couple guys, it sounds like, that aren't going to be running, as I understand it, so we might have a little bit of a change of bodies here. So we'll kind of get that group together. It'll probably be a better time to work with whoever chooses to run or whoever wins the election at that time, so they can kind of help plan for the future going forward. But it's not going to take a considerable amount of time. We're probably looking maybe a couple times. We start our meeting at 5 or 5:30 for a couple months there, and then we can probably nail a lot of this stuff and get us some working drafts and some planning as we go forward. So I told her we'd get back to her at a later date. So if that's okay with you guys, we'll just kind of let that roll through the election and see what happens. So that's all I got on that.
No old business items. Meter reading was tabled. New business authorization to advertise for asphalt surface treatment chip sealing.
We normally do this time of the year. I've been working with Jeff a little bit, and we're going to change the type of oil that we usually use from an MC 800 to an MC 3000. And we've got how many tons of rock do we have there now?
I guess there's probably 400, at least 400 there. So
400 tons. So
yeah.
we're going to try to use up what's already there. We've kind of had a little bit of buildup over the last couple of years that we didn't use, so we're going to use what's there. So we'll just have them spread that in our bids. So that's kind of we're working on putting that together. We've got about 70,000 budgeted for road sealing, basically chip sealing this year. So we'll see how that goes. So we just need a motion to go ahead and authorize advertising for that with the changes that will be made this year.
Can you make a motion to authorize advertising for asphalt surface treatment?
Shot second.
Motion by Kane, seconded to authorize advertising for asphalt surface treatment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorization to advertise for sub-base materials.
This is basically the gravel that we use on all the gravel roads around town and for whatever other projects that we have. But we usually advertise 1,500 tons is what we get, and then that's delivered to us on site. We also have the option that we can pick it up at their site if need be and haul it ourselves. But again, we just want to go ahead and get that. Our contract with them runs out April 1st, so we'll get the bids done and then we'll get a new contract in place before our other contract runs out. So just need a motion on that to authorize advertising.
Shall I make a motion to authorize advertising for sub-base materials as Jerry Simon stated?
Second.
Motion by Shelton, seconded to authorize advertising for sub-base materials. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Paint South Dakota.
Paint South Dakota is looking for 25 communities that would like to have help get a house painted that for somebody that may not have the funds or the ability to do that. They provide the paint and all that, but somebody has to supply the volunteers, the scraping and all that kind of thing. So in the past, I know there's been some of the local organizations here in town that I've worked with them, maybe some churches. Some of the businesses have helped out in the past, but I just put that out there. It comes to the city all the time. So if you guys have any contacts that you might think would be interested to share this information with them, let them know what's out there, and they can apply for the funds themselves that help with that.
Did you email that to like your business directory?
Yeah, we can put that. I can just have Joanne over here probably put it out. Anyone that wants to do that, so
So the homeowner has to fill out an application, or?
I think they're gonna have to qualify somehow.
Okay.
So they'll have some information, but I think if there's anyone that knows of somebody in this organization, can help them walk through that.
I think you find an organization and then they find a recipient.
Oh, okay.
I'm understanding that.
Yeah.
Kind of like extreme home makeover paint job.
It'll be nice. We'll get that out to Joanne with the chamber, and she'll probably share that with the business.
Travel requests. We do all these in one.
Yeah.
We have a legislative meeting, and then 2 library workshops, and police chief's annual convention. Is there a motion to approve the travel requests?
Doing so moves.
Doing second.
Motion by Delene and seconded. Any discussion?
The date's right on my campus.
Um,
It says today through.
We're changing it to Thursday and Friday right now. That could change again, so that one's gonna be up in the air. We don't really know for sure. Mike sits on the municipal electric board, so he needs to be out there to help do his job, that board.
And these that have marked them as using their own vehicles, then they would take the city vehicle.
If it's available, yes, absolutely, that's the idea, yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to pay the bills.
Those moves would pay the bills.
Second.
Motion by Doden, seconded. Authorize payment of the bills. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I
Motion
add
carries.
one thing? Is our district meeting, February 28th being the deadline to get a hold of me if you would like to go.
What's that district meeting now?
Motion
Not
to
in Colonia.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, you're
So
down.
it's just.
No, shoot.
Yeah.